Right, okay, so this is the fourth video, this little mini series of looking over different exam answers. This one's going to cover SLR 12, web technologies. Remember to practice the questions first and then look at these videos. It's the best way of learning, really. So without further ado then, 1A, describe the relationship between HTML, CSS. So HTML is your main structure of your web page, so your headings, your paragraph tags, your bullet point lists, your navigation, your footer, and so on. Again, as it says there, defines the content. It does all that. So the text and pictures really, and the CSS is obviously your styling, your appearance, background colours, animation, and so on. CSS does an awful lot more now than it used to back in the day. It takes over a lot of the jobs of what JavaScript used to do as well. If you kind of get into this. Okay, part B, a web page has a style sheet attached to it, and you've got to find obviously the missing thing. So hopefully you did this in the practice examples for the tasks that you did. So this is the way, a standard practice way of linking a CSS, external CSS file to HTML file. A typical exam question is going to fill in the missing parts, isn't it? So link, all right. So you're just actually saying, that it's a link tag that you're using. We're saying there, what is it? Was it relative to? So it's a style sheet. And finally, you're saying this bit here, aren't you? So you're saying where the actual file is saved. So if it's saved in the same folder, you would simply just put traffic.css. If it was, as websites get quite big, you might have a CSS folder. So for example, that would be CSS / traffic.css. If you catch me drift, basically it's just a folder destination. Part D. Website styling has been set out in an external CSS file rather than inline. So it is good practice or best practice really to use an external file for CSS rather than inline. Inline's done as a bit of a last resort really. It tends to be just if you're testing something or you're fixing something or making a very simple web page, would you use inline? So one advantage to the website developers of using an external CSS file. So formatting code needs only be added to a single file and it's applied to all pages on one site. Yeah. So if you've got 4 different HTML files and you want all the background colour to be blue, then that one CSS file can control all that. If you wanted to change the name in the footer of a web page or the colour or the style, where it may be, you can do that all from one CSS page. Back in the day when I very first learned developing web pages, you used to have to go onto each page and edit it 4 times based on my example just mentioned. So quite powerful for a developer to do that. One advantage to users of a website, users of using an external CSS file, the site is faster to load. Yeah, that's true. And especially if you have any loading problems as well, it can still load the HTML file. Let's say if there's something wrong with the external CSS file. It says the CSS file is more likely to contain additional formatting rules. It's just the kind of priority of the way it loads as well. So it loads the HTML first, then the CSS, but all happens rather quite quickly. Number 2, JavaScript is frequently used in the development of web pages. Yeah, that's kind of, if you ever get into web development, that's kind of like, the big 3 really, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Describe the role of JavaScript in web pages. Defines the behavior, yes. So if, for example, I hope you had a go on this, if you were to create a form, so you're entering name, email address, and a comment, say, or you were posting a message on social media, that gets that information, and the code then obviously would send that to a server that would then process that and display that on a page, wherever that may be. Below is a section of JavaScript code which is incomplete. The function called myFunction should update the HTML box, element box to say show answer. Okay, so let's look at this then. Complete line of code, question mark 4b, right. Alright, so we'll create a function. So in JavaScript, you can do this actually HTML there, so you can embed JavaScript within a HTML file. You could also do it externally as well, which is often best practice. And it's good practice to put any script file, if you do this, at the bottom of the HTML page as well. Right, so to create a function in JavaScript, quite a lot easier than Visual Basic actually. You just simply use the keyword function, so that's what that's doing, that's the name of the function. It's run when it's called, so you call that name to run it. Inside the parentheses then, create a variable x, so document.getElement by ID. So if you get into ID in classes, the particular part of HTML, and it doesn't show you this. So let's say you've given a paragraph an ID of box. That's what that's doing there. And whatever's in that particular ID or that paragraph tag, if you like, is obviously then shoved into this variable called x. So in the HTML called x, which is this, it's going to show that text. Okay, this function's run. Then it's also it's changing the x variable, isn't it? It's going to change the font size to 40. And then the final part of this is a bit tricky. This really, if you just not used to JavaScript, it's then going to apply the color. So to style, again, a bit like if you've done a bit of CSS, that's what you kind of link into that a little bit. Color, American spelling, which is annoying, and then it's going to put the color green. You could also use a hex code for that as well, and that would do it. This is a comment, so that obviously that bit there wouldn't be good site by the way as well. If you Google W3C schools, so it's W3C schools, it gives you a load of different examples of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Again, you just need to learn the basics really for A levels. Don't worry too much. Part C. Below is another JavaScript function called update. Alright, and what it does to do. Right, okay, so the purpose of this is to fetch decode data. Right, let's look back at that now. So describe the purpose of the function update. Okay, so it's a random item, right? Okay, display HTML. Yeah, so again, we've done this in programming lessons, haven't we? So we've got a variable created. Var is the keyword to create a variable in JavaScript. It's like a random number, isn't it? A random element in this case, and then displaying that in this element within the HTML. Alright? Okay. Everything, yeah. So, yeah, selects a random item from the array. Yeah. Okay. And then updates the display the HTML element with a random item. Right, so that's what that's doing. That makes sense. Hopefully it does. Yeah, it just looks a bit odd at first. Getting the length of the array here, array is CS, isn't it? An array is defined with square brackets in JavaScript. So set a data type of the variable CS, so we just set that actually it's an array, isn't it? Write some HTML code that will update a button similar to the one shown below when clicked. Oh, let's go run this update function. So this is in the HTML, so you could do that, yeah, on click would then run that. So if you just look on any web page, right click, view source or inspect, so that's a page with a button on, you will see, you usually see that code. So as that button is clicked, that on click, what's known as an event, will run this update function. This, okay. So that's always going to pick up a random question the way this is working. Number 3, web searches reference search engine indexes to return the results. Describe how an index is created. So these often use like a web crawl or spider software, very clever stuff. Sent out to each website where it indexes the site name and content. So what it is, if you go onto a website, usually if you do a Google search, it will give you the name of the website, and then underneath that it also gives you like subheadings really. Let's try and find an example whilst I'm talking. I'll come back to that in a second actually. I'll just find a good example and we'll look at what I'm on about. Yeah, so actually it's just done it for me now. Let's just take this off and just whilst I'm doing the video, I can't do these live really because you've got it up before. That's what I'm on about there. So it's indexed on the Apple site. So that's the main page I'm on about there. Let's go into, so it turns out each one that we're indexed the site name and content. So that's the site name obviously, and then the content that's within it. So this, obviously Apple's going to understand the website pretty good, you would think, wouldn't you? That's actually slightly better there. So it's pulling information from that site, it's indexed it. So if you go onto that Apple, it has a section on there for iPhones, Macs, iPads, and so on, doesn't it? And that's what that means really. Then it forms outbound links to other websites to index them as well. If it has an external links, perhaps it would do that. Part B, a similar website has pages that are linked together as follows. Alright, bit of a diagram. Home links to films and so on. Each web page has meta tags built into the HTML. Explain how meta tags can improve the discoverability of a web page. So, meta tags are usually found in the top part of a HTML page, and they will have things like the title in there, the name of the page, the author, any keyword search terms that you would want. Let's say I created a cooking website. I would want the word cooking in the meta tags to enable people to search for that, if that makes sense. So that's what that is, and so it just makes them discoverable in search engines really, and so that web crawlers will look for these meta tags. And again, I haven't read that out, I've just come up with it already. So HTML tags are placed in the meta tags are placed in the HTML pages, as I just said. And that's how the kind of page rank algorithm works in Google as well. Put the table below. So page rank of the cinema homepage is influenced by the frequency updates. True, yeah. Damping factor is a probability that a random user will find the page, yeah. And ignoring external inbound links, Times page is likely to have a higher page rank. Yeah, that would be false, yeah. I'm looking at it, of course it would. Alright, final one then. I'll try and make this done in 15 minutes. An audio streaming company listening to me asks you to sign for an online account. Licensing restrictions, part information required to set up the account UK address. Explain this is a good idea for listening to me website creators to implement a validation check, both on client and server. Right. So, JavaScript validation will mark this. So, full mark, one mark this one. JavaScript validation is carried out on the client side. Yeah, that often happens locally because it's much faster. The address can be checked and stopped if necessary. Yeah, so it saves any overloading of the server. That's what that's saying. Right, reducing unnecessary load on the server. As I just said that. JavaScript can, however, be circumvented. Yeah, it could. It'd be interjected with some malicious code, perhaps. Therefore, the address must be checked at the server, most likely against a database. So that would be the final kind of validation, wouldn't it, to make sure that everything is correct with whatever's in the database. All right, and again, similar things would work with likes of usernames and passwords and so on. Okay, that's everything. Again, if you do have any queries about anything, or you feel like I've not described anything properly over the video, obviously you can't just ask questions like you can in class, can you? So again, please email or any comments, most welcome. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope it was useful.